How an Ivern Rengar bot got master. A viděl jsem nějaký videa o tohohle týpka, no. Mám to zajímavý video, můžu se to podívat asi klidně. Se teďka nic moc nechce hrát ani. Ivern Rengar bot dali mastera. Brášku, založili jsme nový kanál, kde nalezneš stará, ale i nová lore videa. Neváhej a dávej odběr.
Rengar Ivern is a classic bot lane combo for low elo. It's known for its stupid power in lane and some crazy jump combos. But I have found two master tier players that climb together using only this strategy, turning it into a legitimately good bot lane combo that can compete with the meta. They started with this old idea and innovated, creating new strategies for laning phase and team fights that let them completely take over games. Not only is the strategy new, but so are the builds, completely changing how you usually play the champions. Oh, and also, neither of them take flash, because they just don't need it. Zangief and Pulgo Master. Volg is a Somali player with
Somálský hráč.
A name inspired by his favorite anime, and he is the one who plays Rengar. In early season 11, Volg decided he wanted to try an off-meta strategy, and was inspired to try Rengar.
Tak si hraje na somálském serveru, tak se nedivím, že dali mastera, ale...
He needed a duo to play with, so he went on League of Graphs and scrolled through the Ivern list to find a player near his rank. He ended up finding one perfect player, that was Pulgo, who accepted his friend request and listened to his idea. Hey, I'm a Rengar player and I'm looking for an Ivern to play with. With that message, Pulgo says that he thought, oh cool, I play Ivern jungle. I guess he plays Rengar top, so it sounds like a fun combo to try out. According to Pulgo, the Ivern, they got in lobby and the Rengar was already queued as AD carry, telling him to go support. Then the Rengar jokingly says, go exhaust heal. Ivern couldn't tell if he was serious or not, but he decided to listen and to try it out. So they get into their first ranked game. Neither of them have any experience playing bot lane with their champions. They don't know any of the matchups, and now they don't even have flashes. Surely the strategy couldn't work, but immediately their lane started going very well, getting some quick early double kills. They snowballed the rest of the game and won.
So vždycky, když ten Rengar skočí na někoho, tak ten Ivern na něho pod něj hnedka hodí buš, hnedka prostě.
Queued up again, another win, and again another win. These two random players that had just met were now pushing towards a new peak rank. The summoner spells were their first strategy, but over time they invented new ones, slowly progressing up ranks with this completely off-meta strategy. In September, the duo finally hit Master Tier together. The coolest thing about this strategy is that neither of these players are mechanical gods, neither of them are amazing at CSing, and neither of them are really macro geniuses either. Their strategy is very simple. Two champions that work super well together, and two players that know exactly what the other one wants to do before they even do it. It sounds a bit complicated, but let me show you how easy it actually is. In lane at level 1, Rengar takes his Q and Ivern takes his shield. The duo plays
on skočí na miniona a hnedka mu po toho miniona mrdne bush, takže on může hnedka skočit na ty champy, no.
Rengar jumping in and out of bushes to get CS. Ivern stays back, playing safe, and uses shield on Rengar to make sure he isn't taking too much poke damage. At level 2, both players take their W. This is a huge power spike for the duo, and the strategy really begins here. Rengar tries to get 3 stacks using minions, and then prepares to go for a kill. He moves into a side bush, and
prostě od toho se nedostaneš nikdy.
Pings a minion for Ivern to look at. Rengar then jumps to that minion, near the enemy AD carry. As this happens, Ivern is placing a bush down on the exact spot, so Rengar can then jump a second time right onto the enemy AD carry. No matter how far back the enemies are, they will get caught out by this play, and it doesn't stop with one bush. Ivern has 3 bushes to place, so he chain places them down to let Rengar keep jumping and stick on the enemy. If the enemy AD carry flashes away, all Rengar needs is another jump to follow them, and this is why the duo takes such weird summoner spells. No flashes, just barrier ignite on Rengar, heal exhaust on Ivern, with these 4 combat summoner spells.
Vem si, že oni mají tyhle ty summonery, který mají jakoby asi nejkratší cooldowny ve hře, že jo? Ignite má cooldowny asi jenom 3 minuty a bariéra asi taky, že jo, tak nějak. Exhaust to stejný a heal vlastně taky to stejný, takže jakoby za dobu, co ty použiješ jeden flash, tak oni použijou, vole, 2krát všechny tyhle 4 summonery, vole. Prostě nemůžeš nic udělat v Idyiom skoro, když se to na tebe nalepí ještě ten champ.
2v2 fight in lane is going to be a win. The enemies have 2 flashes, so they simply cannot outplay all these extra tools that Ivern and Rengar get. Ignite exhaust goes on the enemy AD carry, making sure they cannot heal to survive and also cannot return any.
To jedině, když to jungler bude sedět, no, tady to kombo.
damage to hurt Rengar. Barrier, heal, make sure that even in a close fight, Rengar can stay in range to DPS, baiting enemies in, and popping it at the last second to survive, collecting a double kill. Normally, Rengar's biggest problem is his lack of mobility. He needs bushes to really be a champion. With an Ivern next to him all the time, his biggest weakness is removed, leaving only a high damage assassin, who now also has combat summoners, and a low cooldown shield from Ivern that makes him impossible to kill. Ivern Q also works great with Rengar, giving him yet another dash to get into melee range. In the rare situation that enemies play really far back, away from the wave, and avoid the fight, this duo roam up to take the crab, happy to fight the enemy jungler if they find him, otherwise just getting free gold. At any point, if the enemy bot lane refuse to fight them, they can just go for these roam plays, because they will always have priority. From then on, the duo can even be strong enough to win 2 versus 3, and turn ganks. The extra summoner spells basically give them extra abilities in fights. So Rengar can use 4 of his basic abilities, an empowered ability, loads of jumps,
and ty healy a ty shieldy, to je úplně insane.
Also a barrier ignite.
A ještě plus má k tomu bariéru těm shieldům od Iverna, víš co, a ještě tam mají exhaust a ty vole.
He always has an option he can go
to nechceš potkat, kámo.
So the skill cap can be quite high. According to this duo, there
to
are pretty much no bad
no.
matchups for this combo. The usual Rengar counter is CC, but for bot lane, Rengar has his cleanse on his W, and that's usually enough for them to get past the CC. So for example, against a Thresh, he can just jump into the hook, cleanse it, and then keep going for the kill. At level 6, Rengar gets ult, and is able to use it mainly as an extra jump to engage in lane. If enemies overstay or walk up too far, they're already dead. He just runs straight in, followed by Ivern, and jumps straight onto enemies. Ivern's ult, Daisy, is especially good for diving, even if you don't have a wave. Ivern walks in with Daisy.
Ty vole, bez wave jdeš prostě dive takhle.
Tank power shots, placing bushes for Rengar to chase the...
Co chceš ale dělat proti tomu, když tě takhle obejde Ivern? Není tam ani wave minionů, on tam hodí Daisy a jde určitě divenout prostě.
Enemy down. If the enemy AD carry is left alone against this combo, they are dead. And that's pretty great for a roaming...
Tak jak to vypadá dobře, tak bych strašně nechtěl hrát proti tomu, no.
Support meta like we have at the moment. The main win condition this duo goes for every game is Dragon. Since they're playing 2 jungle champions, they can often even do it alone when both of the junglers are topside. They don't really take any damage from it, and the enemy bot lane will be way too terrified to walk up and stop you. The funny thing about these 2 players is that they've played hundreds of games together, but they've never even used voice comms.
Cože, oni nikdy nebyli na voice chatu?
This strategy works because each player
Oni spolu hráli stovky her, ale nikdy nebyli na voice chatu, kámo, ti dva.
just knows how their champion should be played.
Jasný, ale vždycky, když Rengar skočí, tak pod něho hnedka hodí bush prostě, nebo buď to před něj, nebo pod něj prostě. A všechno ostatní používají situačně asi, no.
Rengar wants to deal damage and...
Tam je asi důležitý prostě jen má dobře ty bushe, no. Nebo to je jako klíčový prostě, no. Nemůžeš mu to hodit za záda, že jo, aby...
Stay near Ivern to get more jumps. Ivern wants to shield Rengar to keep him alive, and give him bushes so he has lots of options. They're the perfect couple to go together, and they don't ever leave each other alone. When they're roaming, they roam together.
To je jak já a moje holka, nikdy jsme se neviděli. Jasný, no, kámo.
When they're in lane, they stay together. If they split up, they lose their power, and one of them's going to get tower dived. In mid-game, they keep focusing on dragons, keep focusing on that win condition, they can fight around the dragon, but they need to make sure they are never alone. Whenever Rengar is going for a
musí být furt spolu, no. Oni spolu fungují strašně dobře, ale zvlášť jsou slabí.
Play. Ivern is waiting right next to him, ready to give him a shield and help him win the...
Jo, no, Ivern může dát Q na miniona, bush pod miniona a máš insane gap closer, no. Přesně tak. Máš tam toho strašně moc, protože vlastně jo, ještě tam máš, ještě ke všem těm bushům a jumpům, co má ten Rengar, jo, tady má ještě účko, tak ještě má Ivern Q, takže přiskočíš ještě Qčkem třeba. Yumi Soraka, hej, proč jste takový nerdí zase? Já jsem chtěl říct něco z reálného života. A vy zase mluvíte, kolikrát jsme si to říkali dneska už? Nebuďte takový nerdí. Říkám, co funguje dobře společně a špatně rozděleně. A vy vole, lolko, Soraka a Yumi, jo vole. Já mluvím o něčem z reálného života, kurva. Vy nevíte, že?
Together they're much stronger because
co v reálu funguje dobře společně.
These players have made custom builds to fit their style. Rengar is not building like a full lethality assassin. He instead is building like a bruiser, with Gore Drinker as one of his items. He's focused on survivability, to extend fights rather than going for one-shots. So then, when they get to team fights, Rengar Ivern is such a fun style. Pretty much, the more Rengar is able to jump around, the more likely you are to win a fight. The fights are all...
Kámo, ten Rengar to má tak free, jak mám všude buše.
Rengar jumping everywhere around the fight using bushes. Early in the fight, Ivern should try and set up all of his bushes so Rengar can use them for mobility. Ivern then needs to get to a safe spot to support him for the rest of the fight.
Ale si ho nejde hrát, to furt jumpuje, vole.
Rengar can then use the pre-existing bushes on the map and the 3 new ones Ivern has placed to jump around the enemy team with a tanky bruiser build. He's
Já mám chuť to hrát si, vole.
constantly getting shields, so he's healing from Gore Drinker and getting
To vypadá tak dobře to kombo, kámo.
shield every 5 seconds. This build is hilarious to play. The longer the fight, the more value Ivern provides, and the better Rengar is thanks to his mobility. His jumps and the healing never run out, so they can just outlast enemies. Instead of it being an assassin, it reminds me a lot of Tank Rengar from Worlds last year, where your goal is to draw a lot of attention and jump around so you can't be caught. But now with this combo, you don't have to build the tank yourself, Ivern gives it to you, so you also have damage from your build. They try to start fights in an area with lots of bushes, for example in this dragon choke point. Thanks to Ivern, you can fight anywhere on the map. It's not as bad as Rengar by himself, because he can set up bushes even in the center of mid lane to make it a playable fight. With this strategy, Rengar gets all of the credit since he is the one doing all of the plays. But without the Ivern, he would not be able to survive these fights. He would not be mobile enough to do what he does, and this strategy would not work. Both of them are vital, and that is why this strategy is so nice. It's quite easy to get started with this strategy because it's like you're both playing a single champion. All you need to do is have a little bit of synergy. So when you're in a fight like this, Rengar looks like he's 1v9 jumping into enemies over and over again, but the hidden part is that Ivern has given him 1500 HP in shields, and that doesn't even include any of the healing from his items either. In late game fights, Rengar becomes unkillable, and if you're ahead, a 2 versus 5 is not impossible thanks to Ivern's healing. It's quite similar to playing Lulu Kog'Maw. If they both position correctly and can help each other, the carries can have enough damage to kill
Teď neměl žádný boost, tak tam dal Ivern Quečko, no.
everyone, and the supporters can have enough shielding to keep the carry alive. Every game, the duo ban Lulu and Seraphine. These champions are great at shutting down aggression, so they're great ones to get rid of. Their builds really fit so well together. Rengar starts Doran's Blade with first item Gore Drinker, buying plated steel caps against AD and Mercury Treads against CC. His next item is Reakce, then Death.
To je docela hodně tanky Rengar, vole.
Both for survivability to keep extending the build with Black Cleaver against tanks, Spirit Visage versus heavy AP, otherwise he buys Guardian Angel. It's a very simple build, all about staying alive. But Ivern
to je klasický build na každého junglera v téhle season
is
zase,
a bit
no.
different. He starts Spell Thieves every game. The first thing he buys is 3 Fairy Charms to give him extra mana, and also boots. His boots should always be Lucidity boots for cooldown reduction so he can spam more shields. Dark Seal is good if you're winning lane and have extra gold. Ivern with this style shouldn't be the one dying if he's playing properly, so it can be great value to buy early on. For his mythic, he has a choice. Moonstone is best against a strong enemy frontline that Rengar needs to tank and survive against. But if they're against a team without a frontline, instead just with high damage squishy champions, Ivern goes Shurelias to help Rengar reach them. From there, against assassins or burst champions, Ivern gets Zhonya's. Against a strong frontline, he gets Redemption. If the enemy has a ton of healing, Chemtech Purify is great. He often gets all of these items as they're just so good on Ivern. The order you buy them is the only thing that matters. Here are their rune pages. Of course, Rengar's taking Conqueror and runes that help him do well in long fights. Ivern prefers this Summon Airy page, since it gives a bit of extra damage, which is great in early fights. Both of these players have Twitch streams, so please check them out at the links in the description. Thanks again as well to Reakce for sponsoring this video. Link below for them. As always, thanks so much for watching.
Zajímavý. On ten shield bash asi funguje i z toho Ivernova shieldu, ne? Bych řekl. Nebo co tam měl? Nebo počkej, co tam měl? Shield bash a Revitalize tam má, na větší healing. Revitalize je jasný, jo, protože oni se strašně healujou, kámo, takže ten Revitalize tomu pomůže ještě víc, ty kokos. Dobrý video, ty kokos. Dobrý kombo. Mám chuť si to zahrát někdy, ty vole, jako no. Potřeboval bych dobrýho Iverna, vole, k tomu.
For you, come along and see it's true.